If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Whew. Well, a subscriber of mine sent me this article about science. You guys love science, right? Like Bill Nye the Science Guy, like Mr. Wizard. Remember that guy? For those of you who are old enough to remember. Coincidentally, of course, using the name Wizard and was a scientist. But, gearing towards kids, he was like the precursor to Bill Nye. But anyway, science is so cool, right? Well, I've been talking on my website about magnets. You might have heard there's a massive deflection going on with magnets. People don't want to put magnets on their fridge anymore. Yeah, that's what it's about. And they've been putting them on their bodies instead. Anyway, I've been covering it over there, and a subscriber of the channel or my website, I'm not sure, sent me this, named Kathy. I want to thank her. Because it's very easy to simplify it. You should be able to understand what I'm correlating here with jabs. Like, you jab somebody, you poke them. Yeah, And, well, what this article is about, from 2016, science is teaching us this. So we're going to go through this. Genetically engineered Magneto protein remotely controls brain and behavior. So a protein... What recently has a spike protein in it? Something has I don't know, that word spike protein, I've been hearing it a lot. I can't think of what they were talking about. Spike protein, okay. And genetically engineered Magneto controls brain and behavior. And this has to do with animals, like cattle. I mean humans. No, they're talking about animals and how they can do this with animals. And, of course, not humans. They only do the testing before most stuff on animals and mice and stuff. And then that stuff immediately starts, happening to human beings. So this is from March 2016, March 24th. So way before anything going on in today's crazy world, if you know what I'm referencing. Look at this here. New method uses a magnetized protein to activate brain cells rapidly, reversibly, and non-invasively. Cool. This is neat, right? It's almost like Magneto in the X-Men. Researchers in the United States have developed a new method for controlling the brain circuits associated with complex animal behaviors, using genetic engineering to create a magnetized protein that activates specific groups of nerve cells from a distance. Whoa, cool. Understanding how the brain generates behavior is one of the ultimate goals of neuroscience and one of its most difficult questions. In recent years, researchers have developed a number of methods that enable them to remotely control specified groups of neurons and to probe the workings of neuronal circuits. Neuronal. Or you might as well say urinal circuits. So in other words, to control the brain. That's cool. That's science, folks. Isn't it neat what we can do with science? Isn't it awesome? The power of science. See, with science, we could do things like this to humans because we need to do this to humans. It's normal. And all we need to do is figure out how we can get this magnetized protein inside of people. I don't know how in the world they're going to think of a way to do this, but maybe people will line up for it and just get it put in them, by incentivizing them too with things like free lottery tickets. Wait a minute. What am I talking about? Okay. Anyway, boy, interesting. The most powerful of these methods is called optogenetics, which enables researchers to switch populations of related neurons on or off on a millisecond by millisecond timescale with pulses of laser light. I know a lot of you are hearing this and you're just like, I don't even understand what you're saying, Call. Well, that's because it's science. That's all they have to say is it's science. You're not smart enough to get it. So, that's how you get away with it, right? Yeah, sure, neuro things. Let's just put it in layman's terms. It is a protein that can go inside of you that can magnetize and control your brain. Wow. Well, I'll get into it. It'll sound a little more simpler as I continue on here, I think, for you. hopefully. But you see where I'm going with it, right? So optogenetics, okay, is what we're talking about here. Another recently developed method is also called chemogenetics. Used engineered proteins that are activated by designer drugs and can be targeted to specific cell types. Whoa, neat. Although powerful, both of these methods have drawbacks. Optogenetics is invasive, requiring insertion of optical fibers that deliver the light pulses into the brain, and furthermore, the extent to which the light penetrates the dense brain tissue is severely limited. Okay, it sounds like blah blah science, but okay. Chemogenetic approaches overcome both of these limitations, but typically induce biochemical reactions that take several seconds to activate nerve cells. So again, you're hearing this and you're just going, you're probably dozing in and out, as I say, like you're listening to a teacher in a classroom, right? Because that's the whole purpose of even articles like this. And I'm not saying that people who wrote this have a bad intention to make you fall asleep. They are literally trying to explain it here. But I understand how common people, they'll hear this and they'll say, it just sounds like a lot of interesting scientific stuff that I can't understand. Now, if the article had said flat out, it's a spike type protein that, well, will help control the brain, then they might say, wait a minute, who wants to control the brain? Why would they want to? Now, they already use a lot of techniques to control the brain. The media, social engineers, celebrities, yeah. And that's how we've gotten to live in modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, but, you know, it's another story for another day. They say that this new technique, developed in a lab at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, and described in an advanced online publication in the Journal of Nature Neuroscience. You guys all subscribe to that, I'm sure. Nature Neuroscience. Can't wait to read the next one. Anyway, is not only invasive, but can also activate neurons rapidly and reversibly. Several earlier studies have shown that nerve cell proteins, get this, which are activated by heat and mechanical pressure, can be genetically engineered so that they become sensitive to radio waves and magnetic fields by attaching them to an iron-storing protein that would be put inside your body called ferritin, or to inorganic paramagnetic particles, right? You guys know what those words mean. But let's put it in layman's terms. So a type of protein that you would have in your body, right? A spike protein. Excuse me, phlegm. Man, the pollen is just insane. But maybe I should just get cough drops. Okay, so it's a protein that would be inside you. And then they can become sensitive or activated by radio waves or magnetic fields. Radio waves, magnetic field. 5G. Gee whiz. Right? You got that? You see the dots here? Connect 4, connect dots. All right, so a spike protein that can become like sensitive to radio waves. So by sensitive to radio waves, you mean controlled by radio waves and magnetic fields. All right, and we have all these towers that have been going up all over. It's really interesting. The new technique builds on this earlier work and is based on a protein which is sensitive to both temperature and stretching forces. These stimuli open its central pore, allowing electrical current to flow through the cell membrane. So electrical current, there's another trigger, right? Because these are all things that you think of inside your body. You know, magnetic fields, radio waves, things that, you know, with a protein that can be controlled via these things. Vice versa, actually. Having a protein in you that could be controlled by radio waves, magnetic fields, could be very sensitive to temperature, stretching forces. You know, nothing to worry about electrical current flowing to your cell membranes. That's normal, right? Just think of it as if you're plugged into the wall, because don't you just see sockets and want to put your finger in it? I mean, that's pretty much what it sounds like. So this article here continues to go on and talk about genetic construct into human cell growing for the most part. And the cells synthesize what is called the Magneto protein. No relation to the... Yes, we're talking about the X-Men, actually. Algorithm. X-Men. Magneto. Cool, right? The Magneto protein and inserted into their membrane. Application of a magnetic field activated from the protein as evidenced by transient increases in calcium ion concentration within the cells. Okay, so as the more they get into the technical, saying that stuff, common people, 90% of people, 95, just dismiss it. And the ones who think they know what they're talking about are just idiots, because the simple fact is they word stuff like this. So people just go, I don't even know what they're saying, but they must know because they're super smart. Instead of just going, look, what we're trying to do here, folks, is we're going to put in a protein in your body. It's going to have electrical current that controls cells. These cells will affect your brain and can be able to control and influence your brain based on magnetic fields and radio waves. I think even that might even be complex for people, but if you think about what I just said, that would make people go, I'm good, no thanks. So the big question is, how in the world would they get this type of protein inside of you? I don't know. Maybe protein shakes from the GNC, right? Oh, well, or it could be in some of the foods that we eat, you know what I mean? As well as something else that could probably go in you that, So they say in one final experiment they did, the researchers injected Magneto into a part of the brain of freely behaving mice, a deep brain structure containing dopamine producing neurons that are involved in reward and motivation, and then placed the animals into apparatus split into magnetized and non-magnetized sections, Mice expressing Magneto spend far more time in the magnetized areas than mice that did not, because activation of the protein caused the neurons expressing it to release dopamine, so that the mice found being in those areas rewarding. This shows that Magneto can remotely control the firing of neurons deep within the brain and also control complex behaviors. So long story short, as you heard right there, the test they did on mice, now being done on humans, no longer a test, really, okay, would be able to manipulate people's brainwaves using and controlling neurons in the brain, which would control behavior. Who would want to do something like that? The devil. That's who. Yeah. So this is what's happening, folks. Cool science stuff. Just wanted to report it to you, the Magneto stuff. Interesting. And then you could, kind of connect dots here with spikes and proteins and, fun stuff and what's going on in the world, right? Wink. Unbelievable, but the article's from 2016, and it really helps understand a little bit more what's happening. If you want to find the article, just type in genetically engineered Magneto protein remotely controls brain and behavior, which you saw on your screen during the video, as well as this gigantic structure, which is called the magnetic chamber, right? And don't think that things like CERN don't correlate with this as well. They do. They do. I want to remind everyone to check out the website at callfornuprising.com. I have a video up about this topic, which you will want to see on my website at callfornuprising.com. It includes deflection. It includes potato chipping, moving around inside your body, how it's happened to animals that have been used as test subjects, and people have had them potatoed with chips, and they've moved around their body. It has to do with brainwave, all of it. So check it out on the website. And, of course, share your information over there. I want to thank the Patreons because of you. It keeps me here on YouTube. So if you're not a Patreon, please consider becoming one. I want to thank Magneto. I'm just kidding. I want to thank all the subscribers out there for listening. I appreciate all of you greatly. Hopefully you were able to understand the messaging in this video. Hey, some people say if you can't beat them, join them. I say if you can't beat them, beat them at their own game. And that's exactly what we're doing here on YouTube. I thank you guys for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.